Hi, I'm Frank Williams, and welcome to SuccessToday.tv. And as always, I'm joined by my two very good friends, Tom Roman and Rich Goldberg. And guys, today's show is going to be about time management and focus, and how that relates to goal setting. So Tom, as always, I'll pass it on to you, and let's talk about time management and focus and where that fits in.
Yeah, absolutely great topic. One of my favorite topics actually in the world, because you can be a visionary. You can be a person who talks and thinks about great things. But if you don't put the rubber to the road, so to speak, and literally roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty with your action, nothing happens. So literally you become a castle builder, someone who is dreaming, a dreamer, and you really get nothing done. The idea is, however, to be that dreamer, but also to bring that dream into the world by your time management and your goal setting. So the first step is your goal setting. Get your goals clearly outlined on paper, okay? And there's different types of goals you have, okay? Like you have lifestyle goals, you have work goals, you have family goals, et cetera, right? But the concept is when you sit down in the morning at your desk or at your whatever your profession is, right? Without a list of what you do, and this is the part of the time management part, the two things today our topics are time management and focus, but without a list, you're like a rudderless ship in the ocean. I'm sure we all heard. And I recently heard a great example in Secret of the Ages. I was listening to it again, but it was about a lightning bolt. Okay? And most people are like a lightning bolt, and literally they have this tremendous amount of power inside of them, and it dissipates into the world and goes in any which direction, a very powerful thing in any which direction. So what do you see a lot of? You see very powerful people when they're out at nightclubs trying to, talk to people and dissipate their power, going out and using that charisma and enthusiasm that they have, like we talked about on one of our last shows, to maybe do something that is not really goal-oriented or focused in the direction that they want to see their life go. And one of the ideas is that I heard in this book was, what you want to do is take that tremendous amount of power, the 1.21 gigawatts, as, what was that from, Back to the Future, right?
That's your personality.
That's right, yeah, I think it is, right? But the idea is that take that lightning bolt that's inside of us, that tremendous amount of power, and to focus it through what's called a channel, okay? And the idea is kind of like thinking about Niagara Falls, the power of Niagara Falls, and it focuses through some kind of power cord and literally makes it to New York City and powers the entire city, right? And that's what we're going to talk about today, is how to take this tremendous amount of power that we have, all these dreams and visions, and once they're in goals and on paper, written, clearly outlined, numbered with due dates, how to make that into reality. So that's basically the essence of our show today. So I'm looking forward to discussing it with you. It's actually one of my favorite topics, because this is literally where it's done. I know, right? It's true. It's right? So, Rich, any introductory comments?
Wow, that was a tremendous introduction by Thomas. Very vivid, very descriptive, and great illustrations.
Oh, thank you. I learned from the best.
Kudos to you. What is your intent? What is your intent? You have 24/7 to deal with. Where are you going? What do you want to do with your life? Where's the certainty? Where's the clarity? As Thomas mentioned with goals, you have to have a purpose. You have to have a direction. You can't be rudderless. Or you can be, you just don't want to be. So you have to set a program up internally with where you want to go with it, and to make your life as good as it can be. But it takes persistence, and it takes an ongoing course of action, just with any other metaphor I may have uttered previously in other episodes, sports-wise, school-wise, whatever. Set your program, stick to it, persist, and be an adhesive to it, and constantly, like a torpedo that has a destination, it doesn't always go straight as an arrow. It adjusts as it goes along the way, always seeking its target. So that's what you need to do to persist and be successful.
Very nice.
Very good. Guys, anything in life begins with a decision. Mm-hmm. So if you want to become focused or manage your time better, you have to decide. It's your choice. So the first thing you need to do is, are you serious about it? Make that decision. And then focus on what you want. And it's like a horse with blinders. You just look at what's in front of you, and you leave the past behind. And one of the things I tell my clients when I coach them is, think about or write down in your journal what you do from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, and do that for 7 days. And tell me what's in there that wasn't productive. Where did you waste your time? And people are amazed as to how much time they actually waste. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what I try to tell them is, take that time and focus on your goals, whether it's a small step or whether you have a half hour to focus on it or concentrate on it. Take that time, throw away the junk, and insert the stuff you want to get accomplished.
Yeah, very, very well said, Frank. And I'm going to comment on that because Frank's right. In your calendar, and the funny part, I actually really studied this. This is one of my favorite topics when I discuss things with the executives. And one of the goals of our show, particularly, is going to be to speak to real-life people who are in the laboratory of real life, right? Who are actually on the front lines of business, and the front lines of finance, and the front lines of making it happen. You know what I mean? For real, right? But the idea is everyone has a different system. You see executives that have, some of them use Outlook, right? And you do all their tasks digitally. And they say, like Frank just said, look at your day and say, you know, there's major goals like, say, I want to exercise today, okay? And literally, I would recommend or do yoga, whatever that thing is, but a very important part of it. So when is that going to be? Is it going to be, you know, at 6 a.m. or is it going to be at night? Put it in there as if you have an appointment, like we talked about in the past, right? So your daily goals, your son or daughter's soccer game or a football game or whatever it is, like the things that are going to be in, you know, the time-based things, a meeting, things like that. Whatever system you use, whether it's a paper day planner or Outlook. And I know executives, but the idea is that they use Outlook, they use paper, they use whatever it is. But the idea, every person that I've ever met who's an executive has a daily list, okay? The most important thing in the world, from the days of Andrew Carnegie to the days of modern CEOs of companies. And the people that we work with, literally every one of my clients is a CEO of a company. It's really kind of a cool environment to be in because whenever I meet them, I ask them those questions. You know, these very, yeah, we're conducting business, doing business together, but how do you organize your day? These are the things I kind of get into. Every single one of them, regardless of the system they use, because that's a very personal choice. I like moleskins, I write things out, I put, you know, pictures in it, stuff like that, but I take it every day and I rewrite my task list, keep it fresh in my mind. And the second thing is numbering that task list, okay? So the concept is called a daily prioritized action list, okay? So every day you write down all the things you have to do. So I break my personal one into different categories. I have things that I'm delegating, I have phone calls I'm making, I have correspondence, like emails and letters to write, I have short things to do for projects, and I have actual projects. Then I have personal projects in the bottom. But I number them from 1 to whatever they are, and in my day I have time for client work that I do and time for personal work. So this being one of those times for our personal projects that we really enjoy, that is that hopefully adding value to a lot of people out there. But the idea is, and this comes back now to focus, so now you have the list in front of you, numbered, the key to the game. I'm not talking A1, B1, C1, stuff like that. I'm talking 1 to whatever it is. And this is an idea called the $10,000 or $25,000 rule that Earl Nightingale talks about in his book, Lead the Field. It was initially done by a guy named Ivy Lee, I think was his name, and it was at Carnegie Steel back.
He was in a league of his own.
He was in a league of his own, absolutely. But it was called the $25,000 rule, and then so Andrew Carnegie was trying to improve his productivity in the business, right, in the steel company, and at that time it was a little-known steel company, right. And from there, he said he had this consultant, a time management consultant, which is the topic of our show. And he said, how can I improve my productivity and the productivity of our managers? So he says, Mr. Carnegie, Ivy Lee said, Mr. Carnegie, I want you to take out a piece of paper. I want to write the 5 or 6 most important things you have to do tomorrow on this piece of paper. He goes, and then now I want you to number them from 1 to 6, if you had 6 things. I want you to number them from 1 to 6. I want you to fold it up. I want you to put it in your pocket. And I want you to come in tomorrow, and I want you to go to work on number 1, and don't do anything until number 1 is completed. If it requires someone else's input, then you can, get their input and go to number 2 temporarily, like while it's, working on it. When you get it back, finish it. Concept is, don't work on number 2 until number 1 is completed. Don't work on number 3 until number 2 is completed. A lot of people feel stress in life because they're looking at this whole huge list of things they aren't able to chunk down a project. Concept is, use this exact law, okay? So Ivy Lee said to Mr. Carnegie, he said, Mr. Carnegie, whatever you think that idea is worth, send me a check in the next, near future according to what you think it's worth. Ivy Lee then reportedly received a check for $25,000 from Mr. Carnegie because he was so grateful. And he said that one law alone, that one rule or time management rule alone, or principle, made Carnegie Steel what it became. You see, one of the biggest companies in the world at the time, made Mr. Andrew Carnegie one of the richest people in the world at the time, okay? So do not underestimate the power of numbering that list. And this brings us to the most important topic. And I think in today, it is imperative that we discuss this because what I see, I have customers that literally have issues with employees on Facebook and these social media things. What happens is, and I read it, it takes people out of the executive mind, okay? And we'll talk about that in a second. But Rich, do you have any feedback? We'll get back into the executive mind in a minute.
Well, to follow up on what you said with the setting of priorities, again, you have 16 things to do. Which are the most important to do? As Thomas mentioned, you can delegate, you can have a virtual assistant, you can trust yourself to do certain things that you absolutely, positively have to do, and use a laser-like focus to do that. Mm-hmm. Other things, again, minutia, clutter, even the physical environment. Try to clean out your work area, your workspace, to try to have a decent sized clean area in which you can attack your various and sundry priorities through the day, and that should enhance the actual physical, answering of phones. You can find the notes, you can find your notebook, you can find your laptop, whatever. Just have a nice area that is secure in your physical environment as well.
Very nice.
Tom, what were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, I appreciate that, because I don't want to speak too long, sometimes I tend to do that. But as you guys know. But no, the executive mind is what I was saying about, that's a great point. But the concept of the executive mind is a person that's at work mode. In work mode, looking at a piece of paper and saying, we're looking at a project, and literally focusing 100% of their effort on that project. What happens when you engage in all these social media channels and these distractions is it takes you out of that mode and puts you into a passive mode, as if you're watching television, okay? One of the major laws and rules of business, if you want to be successful, is to work hard and play hard. I'm sure we all heard it, okay? But the concept is when you work, work. When you play, play. And don't confuse the two. And these days, although Facebook is a very revolutionary type of invention, literally with the challenges on the internet, with the web now, computers used to be, hey, word processing, or Excel, we're actually working. But now the computer is it's almost like a hybrid between entertainment and work. And you have to be very diligent and in your own self, to recognize the difference between this one takes me out of my mind of the executive and puts me into the passive mode. And if you do that over a period of time, if you keep your job, okay, that's the first part because you're not going to get anything done. But no, literally, if you do that over time, you might lose your job. Your business will not grow at the rate it can grow because you're not accomplishing the goals and the time frames you set for yourself. But be very careful about that. There's a rule that I have when I have a task list, okay? And it's called chaining myself to the desk. Like on Friday night, I had a couple things I had to do, but I had a couple priorities that were very important to get done for customers, right? So literally, I chained myself to the desk. What that means is literally, if you have to, take your belt off, put it around your ankle, and chain yourself to the desk, okay? Meaning, don't leave your desk until that priority is done, until your task list is finished. If you're not getting your task list done every day, you must learn to delegate. And this is a part of business planning and that whole concept of creating an organizational structure, job descriptions, all that kind of stuff. Having people sign off on job descriptions. But the idea is if you're not getting your task list done, you have to learn to delegate. And those are the things in business. And if you don't, the way the natural, organic way a business grows is by having too much to do as the entrepreneur. Then you learn to delegate, and that becomes the habit in the future. But anyway, I just want to summarize this. When you're at your desk and you're working on your daily prioritized action list, sit down. Focus number one. Don't do anything. Don't check your email. Shut off your email reminder. Okay. Secondly, so don't let email interrupt you. Don't answer your cell phone. Have times in your day that you actually return calls, and actually even make it a point in your email if you want to return calls and return emails like that. And third, your office line. If you have an assistant, great. Have them take messages for you. But the idea is do everything you can to focus on that task and knock them out in their sequential order. And I guarantee you'll get more done in the next 2 to 3 weeks than you got done in the past 2 to 3 months. So that's what I'd say about focus. So, Rich, anything?
Again, with the time element, you have 168 hours a week. What do you want to do with it? Again, that's up to you. You can't run your life as if it's on Medicare when you pull out these reserve days for days that you haven't used already. Time is a very fleeting concept and one that you can't retrieve. So you want to maximize the opportunity to have a productive day and a very positive day in the kind of tasks and ventures you're in the midst of, and you need to do what you can to pursue to the max. I don't mean to be redundant, but the focus has to be on the quality of your priorities. So again, what's the most important thing to you? And you go down the list to the least important, as Tom mentioned previously with his 6-step, 1 to 6, right?
Yes,
right?
Yes, the $25,000 method.
Right,
yes.
right.
Yep.
And again, some of his chaining to the desk, we don't want to go with the vicious and scurrilous rumors on his social engagement, if there's any relevance to that. But, I thought I'd get a laugh. So, just keep the reserve days concept out of your mind and use each day as diligently and as sedulously and as educationally and proactively and aggressively. I love those adverbs.
Yep.
And that's where I'll cease for this moment.
Nice work. Yeah.
You know, guys,
Great.
just like with most people, when they're trying to achieve their goals, whether it's a daily goal, whether it's a long-term goal, one of the things people come across is the frustration or the aggravation of not achieving that goal. So what happens is they go and they try to find something else for the moment. They go back into their comfort zone. And one of the best things you could do to overcome those negative emotions or thoughts is, the first thing is when you do experience it or when you think it, acknowledge it. Okay, most people acknowledge it and then they go do something else to make them feel better. No, acknowledge it, accept it, and the third thing you do is you take that emotion and you put it in your back pocket and you take it for the ride. Because either your thoughts are going to control you or you are going to control your thoughts. And I promise you, if you control your thoughts, you'll be amazed at what you're going to accomplish.
That's a great point. That's a great point. And you know something that actually triggered in my mind was, we talked about this last week, but about enthusiasm and charisma. We talked about how it, you know, that really how when you allow it to like flow out of you, like your real goals, what happens. I'm telling you, my best feelings, okay, and like John Lennon said it best. He said the cure for sorrow is work, right? And it's funny for him. It was funny because he would write a song and he'd say, "This song is buying me a swimming pool." He would correlate that like that service, but it would get him a swimming pool, right? This is John Lennon,
Right.
but a very wise person, you know. And also he said, "All you need is love," right? So that's pretty cool, too, right?
Imagine.
That's right.
Imagine
That
that.
was a good song. That's right. He's a wise man, that John Lennon, right?
Yes.
But anyway, the idea is that I'll tell you, my best like feeling is when I have like a great day at the office. I organize myself. I've accomplished what my clients need and help them grow their businesses. I've accomplished what I need to help myself and get my own projects. And the only thing that I would say is you feel like you just, you know, what I notice myself is that you feel like you never get everything done. But that's where you want to be. The idea is you don't want to become complacent. You want to be aggressive. You want to push yourself. Because you know what? With pressure creates what?
Tension.
Well, no, what I'm saying, pressure, what's a piece of coal? If you put pressure on it, it creates a diamond. We've all heard that analogy before. So the idea is put the pressure on yourself. Like set big goals. And you know what, like the old saying goes, if you miss the moon, you'll hit the stars, you know what I mean? Something like that. But the idea is if you just set a very aggressive schedule for yourself and you learn these skills, and it's not something that's complicated. Literally, I never read this in any of my schools and my business school books or anything like that. This is something I learned at Dale Carnegie. Earl Nightingale's Lead the Field. But that numbering of the things, it brings such power to you because you go from like, hey, listen, I'm going to start on this number one, and you have a lot to do that day, to being like, bam, 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 and then all of a sudden you see your phone.
Bam, bam, bam.
That's right. To knocking it out and getting them done, and all of a sudden at the end of the day, you're ready to go out there and do something fun, ready to do something adventurous because you just gave that workday all you had, and I'm telling you, that's where the greatest among us shall serve. In that doing of things is where the greatness is released. It sounds crazy, but it's out there, you know. But I really mean that. Rich, do you have any comments on that, or?
Let's say success comes very gradually unless you have a rich relative, inheritance, hit the lottery, find an open bag of 50s and 100s on the side of the road. It takes time. It's gradual.
If you find that, it's mine, actually.
Yeah, you just printed it up this morning.
That's right. You go. Sorry.
As a result of that, it takes time to make believe it's like a Thanksgiving Day dinner. You're not going to be eating at 10 in the morning. You let things simmer and before they boil. They have to be ready. They have to mature. So it takes time. You need the discipline and the focus to continue whatever venture you're in, but it takes time. You're not going to lose 57 pounds overnight, short of surgery. You're not going to become a millionaire overnight with one good stock deal, unless you're insider trading.
That's right.
So again, with anything, there's a price, and the price is the level of work and perseverance you want to have to make it happen. But it's not going to be an overnight success like the joke. He's been around for 20 years. He's an overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it works. So again, with the coal and the diamond, whatever, it takes time. It takes pressure. It takes a lot of work. But give yourself a pat on the back for the improvement that you're getting along the way. If you're going from A to B, well, maybe it takes a certain amount of time, a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Give yourself the congratulations and your own kudos to elevate your own attitude that you can continue to go on with these small increments and segments of positivity along the way. You're not going to get, you don't go from New York to L.A. without flying over St. Louis and Salt Lake City. It takes a while to get there. So have the intensity or just the patience, actually, have the patience to get where you want to go, keep the focus in check, and keep it in, the front view, in front of you, and just go with it. But it's a gradual process, and it's even more satisfactory than it might be otherwise.
Very nice.
Very good.
It's true.
Guys, being very interested in the mind-body connection, most of our success...
Hence your name.
There you go.
That's right.
Most of our success and failure in our lives begins right here.
Yes.
We have the greatest computer at our disposal right here.
Mm-hmm.
But if we put in the wrong software, the software that's programmed to give you stress, anxiety, depression, hopelessness, that's exactly what you're going to get in life. But if you put in the software that's programmed to give you strength, faith, hope, passion, determination, perseverance, that's exactly what you're going to get. The choice is yours. It's your choice how you live your life. And that choice should be to live your life with passion.
Yes. Great point, Frank. And I want to comment on that too. I'm so inspired by you guys.
It's good, isn't it? It's good.
For real, and Frank's absolutely right. And this is the thing where people say, like, what do you... it's funny, I faced some challenges in my early business career based on what, and this is, you guys been to obviously we do presentations, but one of the stories I tell in the beginning was how my first couple business ventures didn't fare too well. I was in a lot of debt. I was in a very tough place in my life. I use that word very sparingly, only as an example too, because it was challenging. But and I examined what was in my mind, and I changed it 100-fold. I used to watch the media, used to watch the news, used to be really engaged in other stuff that was out there that I was told to think about. You're saying very toxic, and people that were toxic, and really made a 180-degree change. Immediately went on a media fast, and literally only put in my mind what I wanted to get out of my life. Right. So only in my mind are the things about abundance and opulence and just greatness, really, in life. In terms of service. How I can do that even in a better way. And I was asked recently about why I do that, why I'm doing things I'm doing. And it's like, the whole concept is, I know what that other road is, the road of having those negative thoughts. And you know what? I wouldn't wish that road on my worst enemy. And the idea is that the negative, not even negative thoughts, I don't even think about it like that anymore. We talked about this in the first show with the attitude. It's not negative thoughts. It's whether those thoughts and that speech and the actions are bringing you towards your goal or they're bringing you away from your goal. And most of the stuff in the modern media bring you away from your goals. So the idea is that take positive thinking out of it. Let's just take it off the table. Negative thinking out of it. Does the thinking, speaking, and action that you do bring you closer to your goals or away from your goals? Now, most people, unfortunately, don't have a goal. So any road will take them there. So that whatever crosses their way, they're in a void. They just link onto that. Be it a product, an experience, a baseball game, right? Whatever it is, right? Which I respect, and it's fun periodically, right? We all have, they balance our life. But the concept is, on a regular basis, though, literally put into your mind and think the thoughts that are going to take you to where you want to go. So, just to, I know we're probably getting tight on time here, but literally set your goals, make them crystal clear, exactly in your mind. Just remember the things. There's 5 of them. Brian Tracy mentions 4 of them. The frequency. How often do you think about your goals? 2, the duration. How long can you hold that thought in your mind? The vividness. How vividly can you see that goal? How clear? What kind of colors, smells, all that kind of stuff? The intensity. How badly do you want it? Like you were saying before, that aggressive feeling, right? And the last step, which is the most important, is gratitude. The gratitude as if you already have it, to live in that state of thank you, thank you, thank you for these things that have come to me. It's such prodigality. You see, you have it at your fingertips right now. Become the person that has it. And the thing is, once you have all that stuff going on in the mental, internal world, secondly, comes out of here. That's another form of action. The third thing, make that list. Number it, okay? However you do it, number that list. Like Andrew Carnegie told us, in the Ivy League told Andrew Carnegie, and work on number 1 till number 1 is done. Work on number 2 and then finish number 1. Cross it out. Check it off. Put that goal into your accomplishment section. Go to number 2. Work on number 2 till number 2 is done. Cross it off your goal. Put it in your accomplishment journal. Number 3 until that's done. Just keep going down the list. Don't look at number 4 until number 3 is done. You do this every day of your life. I guarantee, without exception, you will get done more in the next several days than you got done in the last several months, and in the next several months than you get done in the last several years. And that's personal fulfillment, financial abundance, and just joy and happiness in your life. So that's what I have to say about focus. And also, watch these seriously. Eliminate all things that are contrary to that. Any type of distractions that are there, be them television, be them CNN, be them Facebook or Twitter or MySpace. You have to push all those aside and have the self-discipline to stay focused on that thing, the goals and the tasks at hand, all day long. So, and that's what I have to say about that. So, anyway, Rich?
Again, it was a tremendous articulation by Thomas. Just don't have let your truest pursuits be the dominant thoughts in your life. Any kind of landfill, any kind of debris, discard those thoughts and put them in the proverbial landfill to be discarded, where you go with things that you do not want. So have the clarity, have the certainty, let good stuff dominate your thoughts, be gradual, be patient, and be grateful. I can't embellish upon that.
Our time is just about up. I do want to thank our viewers again. We received some very nice emails this week. Tom, if you would, just let our viewers know if they'd like to come on the show, or if they have any questions or topics they'd like us to discuss, how can they reach us?
Yes. Well, basically, yeah. And again, thank you for your emails. We do appreciate them. We get a lot of good things coming to us. We should probably put those on the website, the testimonials I have there are now. But if you have any questions, comments, you want to hear anything discussed in the show, we're gearing up for season number 2. Next week will be our 12th episode. We're going to be season number 1, put it to bed, and then season number 2 is going to be even more exciting. So we're really pumped about that. And also we're going to offer the show as a series of DVDs, so you can actually watch them on your television in case the download speed of wherever you are is a problem. And we're also going to offer them as digital downloads, so you can download them to your computer, so and your iPod, so you can watch these shows if you want to. And why maybe you want to see me, but these guys are good, right? But for real, and then for real. But and then from there, email info@successtoday.tv, info@successtoday.tv, and we'd be happy to address any questions or have you on the show or answer any. Yeah, or you can tell us off and say whatever. But anyway, that's it. info@successtoday.tv.
Guys, great show today. On behalf of Tom Roman and Rich Goldberg, I'm Frank Williams, and always remember, stay focused. We'll see you next time.